Hey, everybody, welcome to Hearing God in Philippians chapter 2. We took a few days off. Christy and I went to Indianapolis and got to see our kids and their spouses and just had a wonderful time of being together. But we're back in Cadillac and we're ready to dive back into this Hearing God series. And so we find ourselves in Philippians chapter 2, and the verse that I highlighted was verse 17. The Apostle Paul writes, "Even if I am to be poured out as a drink offering upon the sacrificial offering of your faith, I am glad and rejoice with you all." Remember that this is a letter of encouragement that the Apostle Paul is writing to the church at Philippi. And here in chapter 2, he is writing to them to be united around humble sacrifice. And he is using Jesus certainly as an example of humble sacrifice, but also his own life and testimony as a humble servant. And so he references something here called the drink offering. And in the Old Testament, my or explanation for this here journal is that in Old Testament, a drink offering of wine was poured out in worship, signifying complete dedication and sacrifice. So they would literally pour up a cup of wine, and then they would pour it out in its entirety as a symbol of dedication and sacrifice to the point where there was nothing left. Jesus poured out his life like a drink offering. Paul says that he's doing the same. And then he repeats this theme again in 2 Timothy 4:6-7, where he says, "For I am already being poured out as a drink offering, and the time of my departure has come. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith." It reminds me of when I was a younger man and enjoyed running. We did some distance running, and it was always kind of a tricky thing, especially in a race, to pace yourself so that you didn't expend too much energy too early and then get to the finish line and find out you just didn't have anything left in the tank and you couldn't finish strong. And so I was definitely one that would err on the side of conserving energy, of pacing myself, but then often I would get to the finish line and realize, oh, I guess I could have gone harder. And so here, Jesus and the Apostle Paul, they didn't live that way. They did not pace themselves in such a way where they would have so much left at the end. They went hard to the end. And so, by way of application, my A is that, I find that I can be way too concerned about pacing myself in this life, pacing myself in ministry. Truthfully, who knows where the finish line is? Who knows when the end will come? And I don't want to have that experience spiritually the way that I had the experience in physically running the race, where I get to the finish line and discover, oh, I had a lot left in the tank. I had a lot more that I could have given. I could have gone harder. And so my prayer of response, my R in my Here journal is this. Father, thank you for the race that you have called me to run. And again, my race is different than your race. Your race is different than my race, but we've all been given our own race to run. Father, please help me not to run it so cautiously. I can be very risk averse, very much overly concerned with pacing myself and not expending myself. And so, God, give me the courage to run hard to the point of having expended it all as I cross the finish line. So I don't know where that finds you today. Perhaps you're a little bit like me, and you're a little bit too concerned with living conservatively, cautiously, not expending the amount of energy that perhaps we should be in this moment, knowing that we don't know where the finish line is. And when I cross that finish line, how I long to do it with my last gasp of energy, knowing I've left it all out there on the course, on the field. I've given my all. And much like the Apostle Paul and Jesus, I've been poured out like a drink offering. So have a wonderful day.